Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Scourge League 3.16. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to one-shot bosses without any awakened gems or insane ones, just cold arm points with Herald of Purity. Absolutely insane damage. I hope you guys enjoy. Stay till the end for some calculations with these notes of showing you how much damage we do in the first second with a normal multi and awakened multi. Let's just say our first second DPS is 33 million and then 39 with awakened multi. Our upfront burst is insane. The main really cool stuff in this Herald of Purity build is that it does 8 million damage per Herald of Purity on the Crusade Slime, which is a 6-second cooldown, and they can multi-strike it, so it slimes multiple times. They also have the Slam that does half the damage, so double damage just like Stone Golems, and then they can do the 40 million because we have 5 of them. So some of the cool things is the enchant on these actually gives you an extra one, and you only had 4. So this is like getting an extra golem. It's actually insane. But yeah, 5 purity, Sentinels of Purity. Also, we have these rings. Circles of Guilt exist from the Synthesis maps. One of the map bosses gives you the Circle of Guilt, and then you can get these 2 mods. Herald of Purity has 40% increased mana reservation efficiency of Herald skills, and then Sentinels of Purity deal 100% increased damage. The Herald of Purity reduced reservation used to be 20% reduced reservation of Herald skills, but now they changed it. It isn't updated in POB. I did this myself. I think it's right. I just doubled it and changed it to mana reservation efficiency because that's the new thing. And then it works where with our 6 link, all our normal gems, no awakened gem, no empower 4. We have enough mana reserve. We don't run Pride in the build, that's also really cool, and we don't run Flesh and Stone, so it's just Skitter bots, and then the Aura, the big thing, and Dread Banner. So we're actually 100% Impale as well. We're using another Rotting Claws large cluster. I like the one large cluster with perfect notables. It seems to fit really well in all of my builds. This seems to be a thing. This is the meta probably, based on all of the builds I've been creating, and Death Attunement and it being next to this socket, and it's just free. And then this is like one of the best cluster jewels I can make, and then the Rotting Claws makes the Impale worth it, so we do it. And that +1 and +1 Sentinels is actually so strong, and these rings for the mana reserve are like the fix. If you don't have the rings, you won't have the mana reserve. There's also this that they did. So they separated this Herald node into, it's effectively 2 nodes instead of 1 wheel, and so now it's a full extra node away. So you know how they moved Golem Commander? We noticed this for our Golem builds. They also moved the Herald reservation. So now you have to go 1 node farther just to get the mana reserve early league start for the Herald of Purity. So they actually nerfed that too. So 2 seasons in a row they nerfed my Herald of Purity league start. It was way too good. Holy shit, man. God damn it. So the leveling would be worse with the Herald of Purity because of the mana reserve. But when you have the rings, you don't even need the skill tree. So that's the better alternative, of course, once you see that. In this build, we're running a Storm brand, Swift brand. So this was my thing I figured out when I did Herald of Purity in the previous 2 seasons ago. And it makes the Storm brand go really fast, like trigger really fast. And then I also they moved Runebinder. This was the really cool thing, but also where they put it is kind of shit. So now let me show you this. Even if you save these 2 points here, going through here instead of here or whatever, it still doesn't save you a point getting to Runebinder from our normal pathing. It's like, how do you get to Runebinder better? Look at this. This is just my normal tree. It's actually just going to have a double connection on Runebinder. Why couldn't they put it here? Why couldn't they put it here? Nah, they put it right here in the middle of both. Dude, that's so troll. Can I, like... Right, like I'd have to cut out all this to go, I don't know, maybe I'll figure something out, because this doesn't look right. It looks weird. That's my point. But yeah, Runebinder to get an extra brand on the enemy, and then we're using Storm brand, Swift brand to trigger our Herald of Purity. So you have to cast this on rare enemies, and then also on uniques to get it on bosses, and that's how it's going to work. Our Herald of Purity is 37. Because of Herald of Purity being 37, it grants 162% more physical damage reduction for the minions. I meant more physical damage, not the damage reduction. That would have been insane, holy shit. But I meant just more physical damage, which is a lot of damage, but not damage reduction, which is for it. And 72% more max life. Dude, I remember when zombies used to have more life on level scaling, 4% per. Oh my god. Holy moly. And yeah, this is only an Empower 3, so you could have an Empower 4, and nice. In this build, we were also able to get the minions to have their 83 res through the extra max res from the mastery. And then, it's funny, Herald of Purities are so tanky, so 127,000 life, right? And the crazy part is, that's their defenses. That's their effective hit pool. That's their maximum hit taken. What is this, dude? What is going on? Oh my god. Something else that's really cool for Herald of Purity is that when you look at the gem tags at the top, there's Spell, Herald, Minion, Physical, but then there's Duration. And what does Duration sound like to you? To me, that sounds like you can get a chestplate with Corruption for +2 Duration gems. And that will give 2 levels to your Herald of Purity. You could also do the +1 socketed gems. And with Empower, that's 2 levels. So I like to break down an important mechanic in the build to explain the DPS in the build, because its main ability has a really long cooldown. So this Herald of Purity has an ability called Crusade Slam, which has a 6-second cooldown. And so, well, obviously we have an attack. I left on the Awaken multi, my bad. It was part of the testing. That annoyed me, but I'm okay. So we do 3 attacks, and we can repeat the slam 3 times, like twice, so it does 3 attacks. And then we do it really fast, so in less than a second we've already done all of the Crusade slams, so we could burst a boss. But my point is, for 5 seconds it has a long cooldown, and we're using this instead, which is half of the damage. So basically, instead of boring you with all of these numbers and calculations and, you know, things we normally do around cooldowns, let's just tell you the real DPS. So the slam is 19.5, but I told you that sometimes, for about less than 1 second, we have 39, so we have really big burst. If we could kill the boss in like less than a second, we don't even have to worry about our other DPS, right? Just kill him fast. So then, what is our actual DPS if we can't account for either of these as our trustworthy, because it's both of them at different times? I did the calculations. It's 22.1 is the average. If you had the whole 6 seconds, so you had the cooldown, you had to account for this cooldown, yeah, so it's a lot worse. So you want them to die in this burst of the Crusade Slam, so it's a great bosser. Because imagine 1 second uptime of this is 40 million damage. Like, it's actually disgusting. It's 2 whole seconds of the normal slam. It is insane. So you want this up as much as possible. So how do you get this reduced cooldown, or how do you get this to repeat more often? Herald of Purity has Divergent Herald of Purity, 20% increased cooldown recovery rate. So if you got a 2120, then you could get 20% cooldown recovery rate. This, instead of boring you with numbers, it's 22.72 instead of 22.1. So it's a 620,000 DPS increase on 22.1, which is 2.8% more. So getting this Divergent with 20 quality is 2.8% more damage. Like the average. Obviously, it really affects the, or it doesn't really affect the burst that much for bossing, but it'll affect the overall DPS, yeah, by 2.8%. It's pretty good. For just alt quality, it's pretty good. And then the other one I thought of was Awaken Multi. So you could get an additional repeat. So instead of repeating 2 times, now repeats 3 times. So it's 4 slams. So 4 by 4.46 with the 6-second cooldown, not even accounting for the alternate quality. This takes it to 23.0618 million. So it's a 962 DPS increase. 50% more than the alt quality gem. And yeah, so it's 4.35% more DPS with just Awaken Multi because of the extra repeat. And the burst helps a lot. Like, it's almost... So imagine 4 divided by 4.46 instead of 3 divided by 4.46. So the uptime, instead of a quarter of... So 3/4 of a second, it's almost a full second. Like, that's how big Awaken Multi makes. The cooldown obviously doesn't matter that much when you're going for the burst on a boss, but then you're imagining almost 40 million burst in 1 second. That's what Awaken Multi is so big for this build. It's insane. Holy shit. And then this isn't even counting this Awaken Multi. They're changing it. They're buffing it in the new season. So this isn't accounting for the buff because the POB doesn't have the buff. So yeah, 2.8% more with alt quality Divergent Herald of Purity, and 4.35% more with Awaken Multi, not counting the buff. And that's, yeah, and then the burst is more. That's the other part that's not accounted for in the average DPS. The average DPS even got an increase, but the burst is big because you get an additional repeat. So instead of 3 slams, you get a 4th slam. That's 33% more burst, right? It's insane, dude. It's insane. You really want to Awaken Multi if you're running the Herald of Purity. It's a game changer. Holy moly. Alright, I want to go through the gems now. So I went for a 21-0 Herald of Purity. I didn't go for the quality because it's just move speed. And then alt qualities, there's cooldown recovery. But to get a 21-20 alternate quality, like, obviously you want this, but I'm just saying that might be expensive. So I went for 21-0 and then the 3 Empower, so you didn't have to get the 4 cheaper. Empower 4s last season were 10x. And then Minion damage 2020, Brutality 2020, Multi-Strike 2020, Impale 2020, Dread Banner 2020 with Generosity 2020, no Awaken Gems, Skitterbots, Unbound Ailments. Oh yeah, yeah, no Awaken Gems. I don't know if I showed that right away. This is pretty strong. Skitterbots, Unbound Ailments. And then I had the option to run Flesh and Stone, but I was like, well, this is just better. And then if we got more mana reserve, like if we take, I'll show you. If we did take this, it got us 7%, because it's only reducing the Herald of Purity, which is already reduced by 1 billion because of the Circles of Guilt. So stacking a bunch of the reservation isn't great anymore compared to stacking reduced mana reservation. Before, when I got 100% reduced cost of Herald of Purity, he went to 0. It has diminishing returns now. It's worse. You can't really get it to 0. And so yeah, stacking auras with your Herald of Purity not as great, but then we can still pump a lot of damage. And if we got the new Awaken Gems too on top of, so the Awaken Gems would already add a lot of damage, probably 50% or more, and then the buff. Oh my god, dude, this is crazy. So then in the helmet, I went Spectre, 2 Carnage Chieftains, 1 Host Chieftain from Ashen Fields Act 7. You can also get the Carnage Chieftain from Old Fields Act 2 if you want to get it sooner. Animate Guardian. I have the Animate Guardian video if you want to check it out. Life tap for the Spectre so that it uses life instead of mana, because it doesn't have mana regen, or very good mana regen, but it has good life regen because you've given it life regen. Technically we've done aura stacking with Clarity and that also worked before, but aura stacking dead. And then yeah, you only have 3 Spectres because it's not level 25 because we use cold iron points. And then Flame Dash is actually going to use life tap in this setup, which is kind of funny. I did this on purpose. Carry On Golem is going to be your Feeding Frenzy Maim. It's sick. And then Flesh Offering in the weapon with the Stormbrand Swiftbrand. Then we have Val Haste. Immortal Call, cast when damage taken. And then apparently I never added it back. I'm missing the level 1 Desecrate in the boot. I was like, I'm missing it. And this belt again is just to show the Animate Guardian's vulnerability. And the helmet as well is nearby enemies take 9% increased physical damage is just to show the enemy guardian. Yeah, it's really, really strong. Really, really strong. This is awesome. I'm so, like, wow, Herald of Purity. I don't know, I don't think I'd play this. I don't think this is what I would play, but the fact that this is still a possible and it's still this strong, and then I know in the back of my head someone's gonna play this, one person is gonna play this, and then it's gonna be really good, and they're gonna give the feedback like, oh my god, dude, it was so strong, it just insta-killed everything. Yep, nice. And it actually, yeah, it'll actually work. I'm really happy with this. Nice. Herald of Purity. Okay, let's go through the items now. So in this one, we were able to get 2 cold iron points, which is really cool. So we didn't have to go for really expensive ones. And then we have the Elder Bone Helmet. This might be expensive in the beginning. Elder Bone Helmet going for item level 80, so you can get the Minion life 20. And then we have the enchant for the +1 number of Sentinels of Purity. This depends on its popularity, right? This build generally wasn't popular, but it looks pretty good. And some people might play it. Honestly, it's pretty good. And then Astral Plate. So like the priority I think would be the extra Sentinel, and because you could just put Minion life in the helmet, because this build actually has like room for it. You just have to put the Flame Dash somewhere else, which you could figure out how to fit it in, right? I'm sure you could do it. And then you have an Astral Plate, and I showed that you can go for corruptions of +1 socketed gems and +2 socketed duration gems, because the Herald of Purity is actually a duration gem, and then you can get +1 socketed gems for the Herald of Purity and the Empower. Titan Gauntlet, holy shit. Life and Reses move speed, boot. +1 physical, +1 strength Ami, Hunter Warlord, item level 82. This is an Awakener Orb, 5x or something. It's pretty expensive, but this is 2 levels, and then the charisma is really important for the mana reserve. I showed how much we have. I showed that we could take this to get an extra 7%, but charisma is amazing. And I showed these rings, but I'll show them again. So they give flat armor, and you could corrupt these, I guess, for some cool stuff like double corrupt them. There's actually good corruptions on rings, and they're buffing the chance of good corruptions. But obviously in the beginning you wouldn't do this because you're just starting out, but imagine not being poisoned, ignited, bleeding. What? Yeah, that's good enough. I don't even need to go through the rest. There's so many though, like res and quant, and what is this, dude? Dex. Point is, just the stats on it alone, you look for skill reservation and sentinel damage, and the skill reservation is changed in 3.16. It used to be... I'm going to show you because it's cool. I want to show you what it was and what I did. So up here in POB, you have to select current skill reservation, which is wrong, and sentinel damage. That didn't change. But when you go into this reservation, see how it was reduced reservation? And this would be, yeah, insane. But now it's... I changed it to increased mana reservation efficiency. Woo! 40%. Double. And then 100 sentinel purity damage. It's so much minion damage, it's crazy. Darkness Enthroned to double the effect of these ghastly jewels and a bunch of ghastly jewels. And then a large cluster with renewal, rotting claws, vicious bite, 8 passive minion. So this has to be like item level 75. And then I think the small passive would be a higher item level to get the 4% all res, but not important. Just res capping actually is difficult when you have all of this. When you have all the deeps and all the crazy items, res capping is actually weird, but that's the least of the worries, right? So we were able to get 40 million for the 0.6 seconds, and then most of the time it's going to be 4 million. Oh, I guess the way I would do it, I figured it out. So let's just do, yeah, let's do all of them. So for 40, this is 40 million. For 0.63 seconds. I finally figured it out after enough thinking. So in that time, I get 25 million. Okay. And then for, let's say, 5.37, we're gonna do 20 million. So when you look in the history, you add these together, and you get 132.6 over 6 seconds. So then you see your DPS being 22.1, but like I said, it has that burst, which can be saved and reset specifically for bosses and boss rooms, and yeah, that's how it's felt that way in the past. That's how it's happened. I didn't actually like break it down like this before. I didn't have this understanding, but yeah, now this is a great way to look at it. So that's the breakdown. Then if you could reduce this cooldown, so the Herald of Purity Divergent with the 20% is huge because it reduces it by 1 second. If you could do this, that's a big difference, right? Holy shit. Let me start over. For Ascendancy, I took Mindless Aggression, Unnatural Strength, Commander of Darkness, and Plaguebringer. And then for Masteries, I went Leech, the Overwhelm Physical Damage Reduction, which isn't even calculated into any of this DPS, which is really funny, actually. And then we have the Increased Effective Offering, Extra Life, Increased Mana Reservation of Efficiency of Skills, and I think that's all of them. Yeah, it's really cool. I wish there were other, like, I don't know. I wish this Chaos one was different. Kill the Bandits, get the 2 passive points. The Pantheons are Solaris and Gruthkul. You can run Abberath for the Burning Ground for Blight. So I was thinking about an outro for the build, and I was like, okay, well, I want to talk about how much I like the build or not, and discuss what I like about it. And the thing I could think at first was about the upfront burst that the build has the potential to burst bosses and effectively one-shot them with one Crusade Slam. That's really the coolest part, that it has the burst, double damage, and it has this cooldown thing, and you have to play around it with the slams and the cooldown, and there's not that many ways to scale it like golems, and it has so much base damage that it's worth it. So I made a calculation on the notes. It's actually really fun. This was basically to show the upfront burst. So with normal multi-strike, you get 27 million damage. I should have probably put an M here so that it makes sense, and same with this one. And the rest is already done. So basically, you get 27 million damage in 0.68 seconds, and then it starts going on cooldown. Well, it's already gone. It's stopped the Crusade Slam. It stops Crusade Slamming after 0.68 seconds. So then, for the rest of the first second, because I wanted to do like, how much damage do we have in the first second? So let's say we want to burst a boss and destroy him in 1 second. How much does normal multi do? Yeah, so then 6.2 DPS with the 20 million, the normal slam in 0.32. And so total in 1 second I got 33.28. Then with Awakened multi you get an extra slam, and so instead I got 37.2, and it lasted 0.909090. It lasted a lot longer because it's 4 slams instead of 3. And then this was the damage in the remaining time with the 20 million, and then total 39 in the first second. So in total I increased my DPS in the first second by 5.72 million in the first second, just with Awaken multi. The burst potential of this build is insane, and I kind of needed to show this to fully put it into perspective, because I did the calculations earlier showing how alternate quality gem and the Awaken multi can make increases to the average DPS, but the upfront burst is honestly the big selling point of this build. You come into a boss and it just gets one shot, and you're like, wait, what happened? How did it die in less than a second? This is why. This build is not about the average DPS, it's about the burst. It's about the big Crusade Slam. One shots. Sick. It's pretty sick. Herald of Purities are strong. And also, I think we have potential to reset this with constantly resummoning them. So if you're summoning them too fast because of potentially Runebinder, Stormbrand, Swiftbrand, then you're resetting the cooldown on the on the slam potentially, which could be a good thing. Nice. So now now that I've gone over the burst, and I think this is like one of the coolest selling points of the build, overall, yeah, I think it's a really strong build. Obviously, when you look at it like this, so you don't have to worry about, let's say you don't worry about the normal slam dealing half the damage and dropping it to only 20 million. No, you're doing big burst. Even without the Awaken Multi, it's 33.28, and Awaken Multi does make a big jump in the burst. And that's not counting the buff again. This is not counting the buff to Awaken Multi. This is current 3.15 Awaken Multi, not counting the buff. So it's really good. And this is so cool. Imagine how many bosses have exactly 33 million. And again, this is no Awaken Gems. This build's insane. It doesn't have the GG wands. This build's insane, dude. I love it. Herald of Purity looks really strong in 3.16. Oh yeah, and Power 3 as well. Either way, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you thought this was worth your time. If you guys made it to this point in the video, hey, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Let's see if we can get 100 likes on this one too. We've been killing it lately. You guys are insane. Hey, how many of you are daily likers? Any daily likers here? Every video? Like every video? Thank you, thank you. And if you guys are new, hey, hit that sub button. It's free. And now I'm going to take this opportunity to thank my Patreon, my YouTube members who financially support the channel. I can't do this without you guys, so thank you guys for all the support. And thank you to anyone new who joins the Patreon, the YouTube members today. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!